be presented in Spanish and in English. We indicated in the chat, you need to choose on the globe where it's interpretation to choose between English or Spanish.
Welcome to your first steps on the IDD journey. This webinar will be in Spanish with its English interpretation available. Following the instructions is you need to choose the interpretation and choose English. Thank you. Mi nombre es Jessica Aguilar.
My name is Jessica Aguilar, part of the group Power and Hope, and I'm also part of planning of the webinar. I hope you enjoy it, and this will be a series of seminars. We will have the cooperation of Council for Children of North Carolina, the ARC of Union in Cabarrus County, and Family Support Network from Central Piedmont. Our presenters for today are Millie Ramos for the Center of Assistance for Gifted Children, Joanna Parra for the Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy, and Kinsey Silva from Cardinal Innovations. We will have a section of questions and answers after all the speakers have finished. Please write your questions on the Q&A that's in the lower part of the screen.
Ahora me gustaría presentarles
now I would like to present Millie Ramos. Millie.
Buenas noches a todos los participantes.
Good evening to all the participants, and thank you for coming here for the treatment or to come to this in this afternoon. Thank you for your assistance. My name is Millie Ramos. I am a teacher for gifted children. I have been working with them for more than 6 years, and I have 2 children. The younger, he has the intellectual delay moderate, and also to be able to learn in order to navigate and learn through the education program. Let's see the next slide. Next slide. This is a private organization.
Sí, el número 2.
Yes, number 2. Thank you. Well, who are we? This is an organization that is private organization, a nonprofit, and designed to put special emphasis to people or the children who have special delays, prepare information, also to train the families in the entire North Carolina. We're able to prepare the children and parents with information that is needed in order for the programs that I mentioned. It's NCPTI. It's like a center of information for parents. This is the main program financed through a grant for children who have disabilities, need to be educated and receive a public education proper. We have projects also for deaf, mute, blind. This is for the public education program in East Carolina University. Another project has to do North Carolina, along with this other program for public instruction in North Carolina. So let's talk about this evening, what we can expect guiding and educating these children who have disabilities. Next slide, please. Thank you. What is early intervention? This has to do with the development of children in the entire state of North Carolina, and it's known by CDSA in English. This has to do with early intervention from birth until 3 years of age, when we suspect that an infant is going to need additional assistance for their developmental progress. If they have like a speech impediment or understanding or in behavior, CDSA through a referral or through a parent can call a local agency of CDSA to enroll their child. Once they've done that, they will continue to schedule an appointment with the parent in order to receive more information and other instructions carried out. If the candidate is eligible for services, they will formulate a special or individualized plan for the child. This plan is done in writing. It contains the needs and a description of the services that are available in order to promote the child's development. The CDSA will refer him to the local service providers, therapists, psychologists, and other professionals in order to help the families be successful in the development of child with a disability. This is catered to the needs of the infant. So these services will be provided once the infant qualifies up until 3 years. These services will be provided free of charge for some families and at low cost, or some will have some cost, depending on the particular needs as far as babies and infants for early intervention that have to do with agencies that can contact local agency of CDSA to answer questions. The number is 1-800-962-6817. You can also go to the webpage or the page on Facebook. This is gifted children. Next slide, please.
¿Qué va a suceder cuando su niño se acerca?
What will happen once your child is nearing the 3 age? This process starts in 6 and 8 months before the 3rd birthday of the child. The parents should be informed of all the options, services, including the pre-K. That's one of those options that is available in order for them to if they would like, parents would like a meeting with the school system so that they can determine if they would like to consider the service rendered. So regarding the transition of these to the school system, the parents will receive a copy that's called The Transition of the First Infancy, North Carolina, the guide to the parents for small children and pre-K age children. Next slide, please. So what will happen a month before the child turns 3 years old from early intervention? They will carry out a meeting where they will propose the child's new program and a new individualized study to determine the child's education. And will receive more instructions on the line. What will happen then? The child then will be able to go into kindergarten. The next slide, please. Thank you. Transition to kinder. What changes can we expect once the child finishes his pre-K education? And what can you do to prepare you and your child? Kinder will bring many changes to your child's life. Please take and have these changes in mind in order to have a good start. Most children will are spending all of their day in school, 5 days a week. The adults per class can spread out and divided in two in order to participate in all the activities that might be available. And this way the child will need to concentrate during longer periods of time. And this will increase based on the amount of children. Thank you. Next slide. What will your child learn? How can you be more effective in your child's education? Well, make sure that your child has all the abilities in all the areas, but try to find out what is the general curriculum to be considered. What are the goals that your child has in their individualized education plan, so that this way you can support them at home. So this way they can have developmental and social progress. When I talk about kinder, I'm talking about the standard course offered in North Carolina. And it's got the acronym FAPE. These are the recognized standards of the teaching that are adequate for each grade or institute. In this case, it would be kinder. This is the standardized level of education for North Carolina. These standards define what is expected of them to learn at the end of each school year. Or expected that special education will bridge any gap in your child's education. If you have any questions, you can call us and you can find out the general curriculum for kindergarten. 1-800-862-6817 is the number, or go through our webpage on Facebook and also the webpage www.bcacparentcenter.com. Next slide. Thank you. What can I do to help as a parent? What else can you do in order to assist your child? Keep in mind that your son is only 5 years of age and will have many challenges learning. Try to create opportunities in order to promote their learning ability in a fun way. Try to have practice sessions as far as how to go from one activity to another. Help them to wait for his or her turn. Help them to finish their task. Help them also to learn how to go to the bathroom, how to respect personal space, carrying their backpack, and above all, read to your child daily. And also try to highlight the reading, the color of the graphics, and what is going on in the story, what happened before and after, facts of the case. So let's talk about an IEP. Next slide, please. Thank you. What is an IEP? IEP is an individualized education plan for these children that have special needs or who are gifted. This is something that is offered by the federal, and it's referring to a free public education, adequate education. It's a curriculum that is specifically designed to meet the needs, individual needs. This IEP is developed after the child has been evaluated and is eligible for special education. Think about this IEP like a process to receive a document. Try to understand this procedure step by step. There are many components. Try to learn each part and each component. The IEP has two main purposes: to establish goals, learning goals, and to offer the services that this school system will provide in order for your child to progress academically, socially, mentally. It's obvious that most won't qualify for the same services since each child is unique. Therefore, it's important that IEP is an individualized program. And the federal law has 14 categories areas of eligibility where the child can be placed. These categories: autism, deafness, mute, visual impairment, developmental delays, and also intellectual delays, multiple disabilities, orthopedic disability, emotional disability, and special learning disabilities. Among all these things, the needs of your child are unique. And we also have delay as far as speech or learning delays. Once this plan has been individualized for your child, the IEP lasts 1 year. However, it can be updated before it expires. And as I mentioned before, these are very extensive topics. If you have any questions regarding the IEP, you can call us and we will gladly answer your questions. Let's go to the, what does this include, this IEP? Well, this document, it has to do with all the information specific and unique to the student. It has to do with the student. We also address the concerns of the parents and of the student once the student gets older. It includes as well the different levels. It has to do with academic growth, the description regarding his behavior, his social development, his emotional, the need, the educational needs of your children. Regarding their performance will also be considered. Their abilities have to do with the needed abilities to participate in regular everyday activities that will encourage their academic progress. It has to do with organization, behavior, abilities of personal hygiene, mobility, adaptability, and this is something that is quick and easily to digest. And if you would like, you can call us with your questions. And 1-800 is the number, 962-6217. Next slide, please. Thank you. What can you do to prepare yourself in order to deal with special education? Learn, learn, learn. Any questions? Ask questions and stay informed. Any progress in your child will bring new challenge. Try to be an equal partner in the education of your child. You're an expert regarding your child, so you have a very special and important input regarding the policy, agency, local education, and you can visit our webpage. That will be a good start for you to understand and learn when we provide these presentations regarding each of these topics and try to navigate the special education. We can help you.
Siguiente slide, por favor. Llegamos entonces
Next slide. And so now we get to the high school. After going through early education, preschool, elementary education, what can we do to prepare for high school? How can you prepare your child? Your participation in the transition to high school is very important, just like the rest. Your adolescent is getting into a phase of great changes and support of the parent. Keep in mind that in high school, the children are becoming young adults and they start to become more independent. When the students, IEP, are making this transition to high school, the personnel from IEP will address new needs and methods of support. And on account of these changes, keeping in mind that some of these children have the first class and some the secondary class, but the new support services that are rendered. For example, for a child who has a more severe delay, it would be good to know the new teachers and their school environment, among other things. Remember that your son is unique or child is unique, and they have unique students for this federal curriculum in contact regarding support groups. And the first strategy, it would be coming to the open house. Make sure that you understand the IEP and that you turn one of these into your primary teacher and to every other teacher. Take us some action to give them copies of the IEP to all. This is a very good strategy. Will help your son to understand content of the IEP in order to advocate for him and the interest. That this way he can start defining his talents, his goals. This will help him transition to adult life. And if you would like more information regarding this topic, contact us. We go to our webpage, Facebook, or call us at 1-800-962-6817. Next slide, please. And finally, never lose hope of the aspirations and dreams that you have for your child. Next slide, please. Thank you. If you have questions, here's our free number. And also the email of ECAC. Contact us. We're here to assist you. So now we'll go into the questions at the end. Next slide. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Si tienen preguntas, las pueden
If
poner
you have questions,
QR,
you can put them in the chat or question and answer, and we can answer them.
Solo consultan de que si les pueden enviar copia de los slides.
So they're just asking if you can send them copies of the slides.
Y no hay ninguna pregunta.
There's no questions.
Si no hay ninguna.
If there are no questions,
Le agradezco a Mili.
we thank Millie for the presentation and for all the information provided.
Me gustaría presentar a
I would
Johanna
like to
Parra,
present Johanna
de
Parra,
Charlotte Center for Legal
the
Advocacy.
Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy.
Gracias, Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica.
Voy a compartir mi pantalla.
I'm going to share my screen.
Espero que puedan verle. Y
That you
si no
can
la
see
pueden
it.
ver, por favor, me dejan
If
saber.
you can't see it, please let me know.
Mi nombre es Johanna.
My name is
Yo trabajo
Johanna.
como,
I work
paralegal y,
as a paralegal
navegadora de salud para Charlotte Center for
and
Legal
also
Advocacy.
for Charlotte Center
Nosotros somos
for
una oficina
Advocacy.
de ayuda legal.
We're
Que
Office of
ayudamos a
Legal
personas del
Assistance,
condado de
and we
Mecklenburg,
have
Barnes,
people
and
in this
Williamson
county of
County, aquí en
Mecklenburg,
Carolina del Norte.
here in North Carolina.
Yo voy a estar hablando con ustedes
I'm going to be talking
sobre
about
los programas de Medicaid y
programs of
NC
Medicaid, ENC Choice
para niños con
for
discapacidad,
children who
cómo
have
acceder al seguro de
disabilities,
ingresos
and
suplementario,
how to
SSI.
receive
Luego también vamos a estar
SSI, the
hablando de
supplemental
cómo
insurance,
funciona
and also talk about how
hogar médico.
this works as far as the medical challenges.
Primero voy a estar hablando de Medicaid y
First of all, I'm going to be
Choice,
talking about
solo para que
Medicaid,
ustedes conozcan.
just so that you know,
Carolina del Norte,
in North
Medicaid
Carolina,
solo cubre ciertas
Medicaid is only
categorías, y aun cuando
cover
personas
certain
tengan
categories.
ingresos menores,
And even though people may have
similares o menores
low
al nivel de
income
pobreza,
or
muchas
zero
personas
levels,
en el estado de
poverty
Carolina del
level,
Norte,
a lot
son
of people in
elegibles
North
para
Carolina are
Medicaid.
not eligible
En el
for
caso
Medicaid.
de niños,
If
Medicaid va a
children,
cubrir a niños
Medicaid will
menores de
cover
21 años,
minors who
y
are
va a
below
cubrir
21 years of age,
niños que estén
and
discapacitados
children who have
también,
disabilities.
pero deben de cumplir los
they should meet the requirements that have to do with disability requirements for Social Security. Some persons may be eligible for Medicaid automatically if they're receiving SSI benefits.
Un momento, al parecer tenemos un problema técnico, no
There's a
escuchan los.
Technical problem. They're not able to hear that you,
No sé,
I'm not sure. Can you
yo les
hear me?
escucho, pero varias personas
I can
están
hear you,
diciendo que no escuchan.
but several people can't hear you.
Ahí sí no sabría decir qué puedo hacer.
I don't know what, I don't know what to tell you.
No, dicen que sí escuchan.
No, they said they can hear you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
So, como estaba diciendo,
So as I was
algunas
saying,
personas,
some
son
people
elegibles para Medicaid
eligible for
automáticamente
Medicaid
si ellos
automatically
reciben beneficios
if
de
they're already
SSI,
receiving SSI benefits.
So, si tenemos niños que son
So if you have
elegibles
children
para SSI,
eligible
luego vamos a ver un poco más en
SSI,
detalle este
then
programa,
talk
cómo
more about
funciona.
this program.
Automáticamente ellos van
So
a estar
automatically
inscritos en Medicaid.
they will be
Luego
enrolled in
también tenemos
Medicaid.
lo que es el Medicaid
We
de
have
niños,
also
que es para niños
Medicaid for
menores de
children,
19 años de
children
edad.
who are less than
Y el
18 years.
Medicaid de discapacitados, que es
Medicaid for
para niños
disabled children,
que
for
han sido
children
designados como
that have been
discapacitados y no
determined that
califican
disabled
el
and
Medicaid
that
de niño
they don't
porque
qualify
ingreso
for
puede
the
ser muy
Medicaid
alto. Y
for
luego
children
tenemos el
because their
Medicaid de
income
familias donde
could be
pueden
too high.
calificar
And they also have
personas menores de
Medicaid for
21 años.
families
Tenemos niños
for
porque
people who are less than
cuando están
21
discapacitados
years of age.
a veces
Because
por
children who
carrera
have
son
disability,
adultos,
we
niños
can also
discapacitados, vendría siendo la
talk
traducción
about
en español.
children who are with disabilities, although they're less than 20.
Este es el límite de ingresos y
So this is
recursos
the income limits
para
and
el
resources
Medicaid de niños.
for
Si
Medicaid
ustedes
for
pueden ver
children. You can
está en
see
inglés, lo siento por
if
eso,
it's in
pero como ustedes
English,
pueden ver,
as you
para
can
una
see,
familia, por
for
ejemplo,
one
de dos
family
personas, si tenemos
of
un
two
niño
people, if we have
su
a
edad es menos de 5 años, el
child who's
límite de
less than
ingresos
5
de
years
esta
of age,
familia
the limit of
para que ese
income for
niño sea
this
elegible
family,
para Medicaid
in order for the
necesita
child
entrar
to be
por menos de
eligible for Medicaid,
$3,017.
it should
Al
be
mes
less
por
than
los ingresos brutos.
$3,017 a
Y
month.
luego, si es un niño mayor
And
de
if
6
it's
a
a child
18
who is
años, y cuando
more than
decimos
6
18
years of
años, quiere
age,
decir hasta
less
que
than
cumpla
18
19
or
años,
until he
el
turns
ingreso de
18,
esta familia debe estar por
the
menos de
income should be
$1,911. Estos son los números
at least $1,911.
no se toma en cuenta para
But this
Medicaid de
doesn't take into
niños
account for this
la cantidad de
Medicaid for
dinero que esta
children,
familia puede tener
the
en el
income that
banco
this
o
family
en
can
otras
have in the
actividades.
bank, or if they have other properties.
Y estos son los límites que
And
son
these are the
bien bajitos
limits,
para niños
very
de
low for
19 a
children
20
who
años
are
hasta
19 and
cumplir los
20
21 años. So, la
until they
misma
turn 21 years of age.
si tenemos una familia de dos
So if we have a
personas, un papá
family
y
of two
mamá,
people
y un niño
and
discapacitado o
there's a
niño
child
mayor
who
de
has
19 años,
disability
solamente
who
podrán
is older than
obtener
19,
Medicaid de familias si
he can
tienen
only
menos de
receive family Medicaid
$569 de ingresos
if he earns less than
En el caso del
$516 a
límite
month.
de discapacitados,
Being
un
Medicaid
menor que está discapacitado
minor who has a
puede
disability,
estar por encima del límite de
he
ingresos de
can
Medicaid para
be
niños,
above
pero
the
aún así pueden
limit for
calificar para
Medicaid,
Medicaid de
but can
discapacitados.
still qualify for
Vemos
Medicaid for
veces
disability
que cuando
or
familias
disabled
van
people.
a aplicar para
When
Medicaid,
families will
sus
apply
niños
for
no
Medicaid,
califican para Medicaid porque a
some
veces
will
el
not
ingreso lo tienen
qualify
un
for
poquito más
Medicaid
alto. Sin
because
embargo,
it could be a little
podría ser
higher,
que no califican para Medicaid
but
de
it
niños, sin
could
embargo,
be that
podría
they
ser
don't
que sí
qualify for
califiquen
the
para Medicaid de niños
children's
discapacitados.
Medicaid,
So,
but they could qualify
es
for
bueno que
Medicaid
ustedes
for
siempre pidan a su
disabled.
trabajador de caso
So it
que
would be
evalúe
good
a
for
su
you
niño para
to
todos los
contact your
programas de
caseworker
Medicaid. Eso es un
in
derecho que
order to
ustedes tienen
determine
y
or
que muchas
assess
veces no se
which are the
conoce.
different programs offered by Medicaid. Sometimes that's not done.
En el caso de niños
As far as children
inmigrantes,
who
también
are
siempre hay muchas
immigrants,
preguntas sobre
there
si
are
estos
many
niños pueden
questions regarding these
ser
children,
elegibles para Medicaid.
being if
Y
these
en el
children
estado
are
de Carolina del Norte,
in North
con
Carolina,
referencia a niños que tienen un
as
estatus
far as
de
children who
especialidad,
have a status,
sí pueden
a
ser elegibles para
special
Medicaid.
status,
Y aquí también
they
hay
can
muchas
be eligible
preguntas,
for Medicaid.
sobre
And
todo
here there's a lot of
porque
questions
muchas personas piensan que si
because
el
a lot
niño
of
no es
people think
ciudadano de
that
los
if the
Estados
child is
Unidos
not
o
a
si no tiene
citizen of
una
the
tarjeta de
US
residencia, una
or
green
doesn't
card,
have a
ellos
resident
no pueden
card, a
obtener
green card,
Medicaid y eso
they
no es
wouldn't be
correcto.
able to receive
Niños que
Medicaid,
están
but that's not
aplicando para
true.
asilo,
Children
niños
who
que han
are
sido
requiring,
atendidos con parol en la frontera,
or
niños
children
que
who
han
were
sido
stopped at the
enajendados con
border,
estatus de inmigrantes juveniles,
children who have been
niños que están
determined as
aplicando para
special
una
immigrant
residencia
juvenile
permanente pueden
status,
ser elegibles
or given that status may be eligible for the children's Medicaid. There's no waiting period for traditional plans. So if you have someone who is disabled, these children want to apply for Medicaid, it's very possible that they can be eligible for Medicaid. Child is undocumented, he or she has an emergency, they can be eligible for charity care or other programs in the hospitals, but they can also receive emergency Medicaid. And the fact that the child that receives Medicaid, that won't harm regarding their future status if it becomes legal. The parents of these children can request this Medicaid for their children. There are 4 ways to apply for Medicaid. You can go to your local Medicaid office in person. Currently, some of these offices are closed, like the office where I work at, but send your application through regular mail. You can visit your local office, or you can also do it via ePass. Those providers in the area can assist you to find these forms. If you need help applying for Medicaid, you want to know if the children were disabled or those who don't have a disability, if they're eligible for Medicaid. But as far as the initial Medicaid is the first day of the month, that's when the application is completed. You can request retroactive up to 3 months. So if today we're May 20th and we're trying to complete a Medicaid today, the county has 45 days to apply to the application. Once it's applied, that Medicaid will begin starting May 1st. We also have medical bills for children for 3 months prior to May. It can be covered, and also taking into account the income. So if we're today, they will look our income during the month of April. Like I said, always say if your child has a disability, and mention that to your social worker in order for your child to be evaluated for all the programs, not just for Medicaid. And Medicaid will cover when beneficiary who is less than 21, le va a cubrir EPSDT, tiene que ver con evaluación temprana, periódica, para asegurar su de cuidados regarding their routine care, developmental, mental health. That is a benefit that is exclusive for minors of 21 years of age that receive Medicaid and assistance in order for them to overcome any physical or psychological barriers. So if they are children beneficiaries of Medicaid, they can also receive this benefit. Health Choice is a program that's different from Medicaid. It's just North Carolina Health Choice. Some people think it's the same thing about Health Choice. Will not cover previous services. Medicaid covers therapies. Health Choice will not cover those benefits. If Medicaid covers dental health, Health Choice will not cover any dental work. It will only cover cleaning. Health Choice is a little more limited than Medicaid. So that's why I mentioned if you're not eligible for Medicaid, try to be evaluated to see get the Medicaid for people with disabilities, a little better than Health Choice. And this is for children who have, higher income to qualify for Medicaid, but they have enough income to get private insurance. And a lot of people receive letters maybe indicating that the services of Medicaid will change and they're going to be through private health plans. So tomorrow is a deadline actually. So you will need to select a personal private health plan or children who have innovations of a waiver for children who have disabilities, mental disability or developmental. It's possible that you won't have to request a plan and can continue to keep Medicaid. There's a number here to call if you have any doubts regarding that, and we can answer the question. So then I'm going to talk about the SSI, the supplemental health insurance. This is a program that assists people who have disabilities, in particular to those who are older than 65 years of age and with a limited income. This is also for children who are less than 18 years old. Remember that Medicaid up until 18, SSI is only up until 18. The maximum amount that they can give Social Security for a child with a disability, $794 a month. It's just for one person. First of all, in order to comply with these requirements of disability, they, as I mentioned before, have to be less than 18 years of age. They must be blind or have some sort of severe disability, such as illness that limits a function that could end up in death, or maybe they've had a surgery, something that lasted more than 2 months, or children with severe autism, ADHD, severe, they could be determined as disabled by Social Security. As I stated, there's no requirement of age. It's less than 18 years of age. And I'm going to explain once they turn 18, they should have a disability according to the rules of Social Security. And Social Security will look at the income of the family members that live in the household in order to determine if eligible to receive a check. They will see how much money the parents make or any other member of the family, and they will look at how much money you have in the bank and all your needs. In order to receive this SSI limited, you have to be a citizen or resident, permanent resident of the United States. This will be the same thing. Parents who are eligible, parents who are undocumented can apply and receive these benefits on behalf of their disabled child. This is regarding of their immigration status. The limit of resources for children who want to receive SSI is $2,000, and resources have to do with money in the bank, if you have stuck at home, if you have more than one car that they use for work, the dwelling where they live, it will not be factored in. The way to apply for SSI is in order completing a form SSI. You can do that in person. The offices are closed now, but you can contact your local Social Security office in order to complete. This has to do, we need to provide medical records, and child has personalized identification plan. That is also helpful in any medical records and in any problem that they have with the IEPs. Social Security will send a file para disability eligibility determination services that will determine disability. And then if the child is able to, the Social Security will determine their income in order to see if they're eligible. When you are completing this application for Social Security, the child, it's very important, this SSI, their education, medical records, and provide any additional information to Social Security regarding the income of the parent. If there's an approval, Social Security will send a notice indicating that the child was approved, what are the payments that he or she will receive, and how they will determine what parents when that disability will be reviewed, because they do a periodic review of disabilities and also the rights to appeal. If the application was denied, you only have 60 days to appeal. A lot of families apply, they're denied, and they don't do anything. And then they come back 3 months later, I was denied, so we have to renew the application, and we've lost a lot of time. So it's important that you are denied Social Security, try to appeal this during the 60 days. If the child receives SSI, you can report any changes as soon as they occur regarding address, members in the household, income, resources. And so in the future, Social Security won't say that you didn't provide accurate information. So once the child turns 18 years of age, Social Security will do an assessment to determine if the child is still a disabled person as an adult, and they will send information to the parents in order for you to provide evidence that the child continues to be disabled. And that is also a process that needs to be appealed if Social Security determines that the child is no longer disabled. So you have the right to appeal if they feel that the child is no longer disabled. And then they will send the information regarding the medical information. And this has a lot to do with the Medicaid and the evaluation that they make regarding in order for the child to receive special vision and all the benefits necessary from his primary care physician and any information regarding therapies. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Muchísimas gracias, Joana.
Thank you very much, Joanna. There are some questions here. One is,
¿Hasta qué edad le dan Medicaid a un joven con necesidades especiales?
up until what age is the child receiving Medicaid if he has special needs? So as I explained, it's a program that has different categories. A young person with special circumstances can receive the Medicaid for children up until the age of 19. But once the child turns 19, it is very important that the child and the family or the person, the guardian of that person who's disabled, notifies social services that this child has a disability. So at that moment, they can change the Medicaid to someone with disability. So they're not going to give Medicaid just because you have a special need. You have to tell social services you have a special need. That's why we always recommend to our clients that every time that they renew the Medicaid, tell them, are you disabled? They send you a letter 6 months before it expires to see if you are disabled. You always need to say yes. This way, the Medicaid for the child will not be terminated until someone determines that he is disabled as an adult.
¿Tienen otra pregunta?
Is there another question?
Perdón. La otra pregunta es si un niño tiene el Medicaid.
The other question is, if you have a child with Medicaid, the disability, there's no need to file for an insurance, correct? If the child is receiving SSI, there's no need to seek another health plan because Medicaid will cover all of their needs. So there's no need to look for another. This SSI has been, Social Security determines that the child is no longer disabled. Please appeal this, because as long as you are in the appeal process, they can't terminate your Medicaid. The other question is, if that was appealed, could it be presented like in a different form of appeal? So if it was denied, you're asking what is different in the appeal? A lot of things can happen. Can
médicos
happen.
no sean
Maybe the
suficientes
medical
para
records are
determinar
not
que hay una
sufficient to determine
discapacidad
that
y
there
tú
is a
necesitas
disability. So you need
una
to
evaluación
go
consultiva
to
o necesita que
uh,
otra persona
another evaluation, or you need
revise su
another
caso
person
para asegurarse de que esa
analyze your
persona
case.
hizo su trabajo
Maybe
correctamente.
to ensure that the first
Incluso si
person
quien
that
lo
did the
pasa
assessment did their
proceden
job
diciendo este niño
correctly.
no está
If
discapacitado,
they
tú
continue to
puedes
say this
recurrir
child
pues
doesn't have a
a una audiencia
disability,
con un juez
you can
administrativo.
request
Ellos pueden ver
an administrative
efectivamente
hearings judge
con entrevistas que ellos hacen si
through their
efectivamente hay una
interviews. They'll
discapacidad.
determine whether there
Es
is or not
importante apelar y todo
disability.
ese tiempo que se
That's
demora
why
ese
it's important
proceso, si
to
usted
appeal.
gana al final,
And during that time,
usted le van a pagar.
if
Por
you
eso
win, they will
es
pay
importante apelar y no
during that
aplazar
entire
la
time that this
decisión.
case was under appeal.
Otra pregunta es, los niños
The
que
other
reciben
question is the
SSI,
children that receive SSI,
renovar cada
the
cierto
children
tiempo,
need to renew periodically
no, por ejemplo, los niños
or
con
not.
síndrome de Down.
Like, for
Sí,
example, the children with Down
todos,
syndrome, yes,
siempre hay renovación.
there's
Siempre
always
ellos van a
renewal. There
revisar
is
si ese
always
niño
going to
no
be
tiene una
renewal.
discapacidad.
They
¿Qué
want to
pasa?
ensure that
Que
this
muchas
person continues
veces
to be
hay
disabled.
condiciones
What
donde
happens?
el
There are
Seguro
certain
Social las
conditions with
revisa
Social
y pues
Security
muy
reviews,
simplemente
and
ellos ven que hay
simply
una
they
discapacidad y
see
lo
that
van a
there's a
renovar. A
disability
veces lo
that
que
will
pasa es que les
continue.
llega la carta diciendo
Sometimes
estamos
they get the
revisando tu
letter,
discapacidad y pues
we're reviewing
no
your
pasa nada, no
disability.
piden nada
Nothing will
adicional,
happen.
pero
They
siempre
won't
sabemos que
ask
ellos
for
van a
anything
revisar,
additional.
incluso cuando es una
They will
condición
always
con
do a
síndrome de
review.
Down, ellos van a revisar
Even
siempre.
if the child has
Igual
Down
niños
syndrome,
cerebrales, ellos van a
they
revisar
were
porque
always
también es otra condición que
cerebral
en algunos
palsy,
casos es
they will always
evidente
conduct a
que
review.
va a durar toda la vida. Ellos
In
siempre
a
van
lot
a
of cases,
revisar.
it's
Igual
obvious
que
that
con
this
el
will
tema
last
de
the entire
SSI, ellos también
lifetime.
tienen que
They
revisar
will always
ingresos,
conduct a
también tienen
review.
que revisar los
They
recursos.
also need to
No
review
solo van a
income,
revisar la
resources.
discapacidad, sino también
They
si
will
usted
not
haya sido
also
elegible
only
de
review the
varios otros
disability,
requisitos.
but also to ensure that you continue to comply with the rest of the requirements.
Otra pregunta es
The other
si se
question
puede
is,
hacer una sola aplicación para dos niños con
can you
discapacidad
just use
y
one
si todas las
application for two
aplicaciones
children
se
with
hacen por
disability?
teléfono
And are these
o
applications
tienen
being
que
made
hacerse
via phone?
Sí, muy buena pregunta.
Yes, that's a very
Se
good
tienen que
question.
hacer dos
Yes,
aplicaciones
you have to
diferentes
file
para
two
cada
different
niño con
applications
discapacidad,
for two
incluso si
different
son
children with
dos
different
hermanos o dos
disabilities.
gemelos y
They
tienen la
could be
misma
twin
situación.
brothers.
Sí, usted tiene
Yes,
que hacer una aplicación
you
para
have to
cada
file an
niño,
application for
porque
each child
aunque usted
because
piensa que no, puede ser que,
although you
aunque sus
think
condiciones son
not,
diferentes, uno
although
tenga
their
una
conditions
condición
are
distinta que
different,
la del otro, o
maybe
personas
one child has
diferentes.
a
Sí,
condition that's
usted tiene
different
que
than the
hacer una
other.
aplicación para cada
Yes,
niño
you need to
de manera
fill out
independiente.
an application for each
Y luego
child.
preguntaba, ok, si las
And then you're
aplicaciones se hacen
asking,
por teléfono.
are these
Sí,
applications made via
ahora las
phone? Yes.
aplicaciones se hacen
Now
por
these
teléfono. Hay
applications are done
una
over the
forma
phone.
online que ustedes pueden
There's a
completar
form online that you can
y
fill out,
ellos le van a mandar una
and they will
carta
send you
pidiendo más información.
letters
Pero el proceso ahora es que
with
usted
more
va a llamar a su
information.
oficina local
The
del Seguro
procedure now
Social
is
y va
to
a decir, quiero
contact
hacer una
the
cita
local office
para
for Social
discapacidad para
Security
mi hijo menor de
and
edad.
then
Ellos
say,
van a
I
mandar una
want to
cita para
make
usted.
an
Y
appointment
luego
for
una
my
persona le
child
va a
who has
llamar
a
en su idioma,
disability.
eso
And
es
then
un
a
derecho que le llamen
person
en su
will
idioma,
contact you in your
y completar
language,
una
the
aplicación
right
por
that you have,
teléfono. Luego esa
and fill out the
aplicación, ellos van
application
a
over the
mandar
phone. And then
todo
after
por
filling
escrito
out the
para que usted
application, they
revise
will
si la
send
persona que
everything in
tomó la
writing.
aplicación por
And the
teléfono
person that took
la
your
tomó de manera
application
correcta
over the phone
y
to
usted
ensure that it was
corrija cualquier
properly done,
información que no está
and you can
correcta,
try to
usted la
correct
firma
any
y la
information
manda
that is
nuevamente.
incorrect, that you
La buena parte
sign it
también de
and
ese
send it
proceso
again.
es que
The
desde el
benefits
momento
of doing
uno
it
que usted
this way,
llamó para
that
pedir esa
from day
cita, se
one that
considera
you
que ese día
contacted
fue que usted
the
aplicó. No es
appointment,
así
so
que los
that's
documentos le llegaron
considered
un
the
poco más
day that
antes
you
y que se demoró un
requested
poco
the
en mandar
benefit,
respuesta. Ese día
even if
es cuando usted llama.
it,
Y esto es porque
they take their
siempre
time
sucede así, pero
answering
ahora
you.
lo vemos más
The
porque
first
las
day that you
oficinas están
call
cerradas.
to fill out the application, that's the start date. And we're doing
Otra
it this way
pregunta es
because
si
the
mi
offices are
si
closed
un
currently.
niño tiene seguro
The other
privado
question
por
is,
medio del trabajo,
what if the child has a private
pero
insurance through one
puede
of the
aplicar a
parents'
Medicaid
work?
como si fuese un
Can they
seguro
apply
secundario para
for
cubrir otros
Medicaid as a
gastos de
secondary
terapias y
insurance
otras cosas?
to cover
Sí, otra
therapies
buena
and other
pregunta.
things? Yes,
Que
that's
le
another
dice,
good
si el
question.
niño tiene su seguro
If
privado
the
por medio
child
del
has private
trabajo,
insurance,
podría ser que usted quiere aplicar
it could,
para Medicaid
you
porque
can apply
Medicaid
for
es un seguro
Medicaid
tal vez un
because
poco más
Medicaid
comprensivo que va
is
a
a
cubrir cosas
insurance that is
que tal vez
more
el seguro privado no
comprehensive,
cubre o tiene
that
ciertas
will cover
limitaciones
things
para
that
usted
maybe your private insurance will not
es
cover,
gratuito para niños.
but it's obviously it's free for
Entonces,
children.
es una
So
buena idea de que usted
it's a good idea
sus
that you
ingresos hacen que su niño
just
sea elegible para
investigate to
Medicaid
see if
o
your
Medicare
income
Health Choice.
your child
incluso
eligible
cuando
for
el health choice es
Medicaid
un poquito más limitado, a
or
veces es más
health choice.
limitado que seguros de trabajo, siempre es una buena idea
But
mirar.
it's always a good idea, even if
Tiene
you
que
have a
siempre
private
ser segundo
health
pagador.
insurance
Entonces, si
work.
usted tiene un
So
seguro
if you
privado,
have a private
Medicaid
insurance,
va a pagar lo que
Medicaid
ese
will
seguro
pay
privado no cubre
whatever that private
o
insurance
lo
doesn't
que son
cover,
copagos, deducibles y tal.
or
No
co-pays or
conozco ninguna
deductibles.
familia que tenga seguro
I don't know any
Medicaid
family that has
todos dejan el
private
seguro
insurance for
privado y todos se
Medicaid.
quedan con Medicaid.
Usually they abandon the
Pero
private
lo puedes
insurance
hacer.
and only keep Medicaid, but you can do it.
Otra consulta es,
Another
en el
question is,
caso de que un niño reciba
in case the
SSI
child
y le
receives
mandaron la
SSI
carta para que escogiera un
and they
plan,
sent them a letter to
¿qué tendría que hacer?
choose a plan, what would the person need to do?
Depende, porque
It
puede ser
depends,
que el niño recibe SSI
because the
based en su
child can receive
condición de
SSI based on his
discapacidad o
condition
su
or
condición de
disability.
desarrollo
Maybe it's not something developmental,
ay, se me fue la palabra.
um,
De límite de desarrollo como mental, ¿verdad? Puede ser que
that
su condición
not
de discapacidad
if
es que este
mental
niño
development. It
tiene
could
una
be something
discapacidad
where
física
the
o
physical
que está discapacitado,
ability
pero tal
or
vez
has a
su
disability,
condición no es
maybe his
severa.
condition is
Entonces,
not severe,
podría ser
then the
que
child, it
sí.
could be
Mi recomendación
a
número uno es que
recommendation,
llame a
one
este
to
número que yo
check
puse,
this
lo
number
voy
that
a
I
poner en el
put
chat
over here on the
flyer, que es el
slide.
Ombudsman. Ellos pueden explicar a usted un poco
They
más
can
a
explain to
detalle.
you more in
Y si
detail.
usted cree que usted
And
no
if you
tiene que
think
elegir
that you don't have to
un
select
plan y que su niño está
a plan,
exento, usted puede
child can,
hacer eso.
you
El
can do
número
that. The number,
del Ombudsman
Medicaid,
es el
877-201-3705. It's like ombudsman. If you feel that that letter that you received, you have the right to raise your hand and ask them to analyze this. But it's hard for me to say yes or no. There are certain factors that need to be taken into
Otra
account.
pregunta es, si
The other
recibe SSI,
question
¿puede
is,
incluirlo
if
en los
he
taxes?
receives SSI, do you include that in the taxes? No.
Las personas que reciben
For
SSI
people who receive
no
SSI,
tienen obligación de hacer
they're not
sus taxes.
obligated to file their
¿Qué
tax.
pasa? Que cuando los niños están recibiendo
So when
SSI,
children
hay
receive
algunas
SSI,
exenciones,
there are
para
certain
fines de
exceptions
taxes, o no se considera
regarding tax purposes.
ingreso contado.
So that's not,
So,
earned
la
income,
respuesta simple
basically.
es que no.
The
Yo no
simple answer
soy
is no.
experta en
I'm
taxes.
not an
La
expert
respuesta simple es
filing
que
tax.
no. Hay algunas cosas más
The
involucradas,
answer is
pero
no, but
simple
there could
no.
be other factors, but usually it's no.
Otra consulta es, si un
And
niño
the other
tiene
question
SSI
is,
y
if
con
a child
ello el
has
Medicaid,
SSI
¿hasta qué edad ellos siguen
and then
teniendo el
Medicaid,
Medicaid y el SSI?
up until what age are they eligible for
Ellos siguen
SSI and
teniendo
Medicaid?
el SSI
So they
como
continue
niños
to receive
hasta
the
los 18
SSI
años. Cuando
children
cumplen
up until
18 años,
they're
ellos van a
18.
ser evaluados
And
para
then
ver
after that, they will
las
receive an
reglas de
assessment
adultos, porque las reglas de
for the
discapacidad
rules
adultos
for
con
that
niños
apply
son
to
diferentes.
adults,
Ellos siguen
because the
cumpliendo
rules
con
are
la
different,
discapacidad. Si el
to see if they continue
Seguro
to
Social está
meet the
determinando eso, ellos
requirements
van a
for
seguir teniendo el
disability.
Medicaid. Si
But
el
if
Seguro Social dice,
Social
como
Security
adulto
is
usted no está
determining that,
discapacitado,
and if they
ellos
say
van
as
a
an
avisar a
adult, you're
servicios
not
sociales para
disabled,
que servicios
they will
sociales
notify
eliminen ese
notify
Medicaid y
social
evalúen a usted
services
para todos los demás
so that they
proveedores de
can
Medicaid. ¿Cuál es la
they can
recomendación que
offer you
siempre
different
hacemos?
programs for
Si el
Medicaid.
Seguro Social dice que su
But if
niño
the Social
como adulto
Security
ya no está
says
discapacitado,
that as an adult your
apele,
child is
porque
not
mientras usted
disabled,
está apelando,
because while
ese
you're
Medicaid no
appealing
puede
this,
terminar.
that
¿Ok?
Medicaid can't be
Obviamente busque ayuda
discontinued.
legal.
Obviously, you can
Asesórese, para
consult
eso están las oficinas
legal
de ayuda
aid.
legal.
That's why you have legal aid offices.
Recuerdo, tengo un cliente que
I
perdió
recall,
su
I have
SSI
a
desde
client
los
who
18 años y estuvimos apelando
he
hasta que él tuvo 25 años.
terminated the SSI when he was 18,
Recibiendo su
and we
dinero y todo el
continued
tiempo siguió
to
teniendo
appeal this
Medicaid y
for
fue
years.
mucho
And
tiempo
during
sin
that time, he
trabajar
continued to
hasta que
receive
finalmente lo
his
conseguimos. Por
benefits
todo ese tiempo,
until we
él estuvo
finally got it.
recibiendo su beneficio.
But during that entire time, he was
Siempre
receiving his
apele.
benefit. So it's always good to appeal.
Los slides se les enviarán por correo
The
electrónico.
slides will be sent via
Porque estuvieron con
email.
la duda de los slides. Hay
For
otra
those that were
pregunta que
asking
es,
about the slides, the other question is,
¿qué pasa
what
si
will
los ingresos
happen
aumentan
if
y le quitan
your
la ayuda
income
económica,
increases
pero el niño
and they
tiene una
remove the
discapacidad
financial
y
aid,
no va a mejorar?
but the child
¿Va a
has
perder el Medicaid?
disability and will not improve?
Y si está
Will they still be eligible Medicaid? Well, that depends. It could be that that income could increase at such level that that child is no longer eligible for children's Medicaid. So it could be possible that you can lose that Medicaid, but it could be that the income is too high for SSI, but it's not high enough for regular Medicaid. We would have to evaluate and see what's going on, but doesn't mean necessarily that they will lose their
Aunque
Medicaid.
esté en waiver.
Even though it's under a waiver, yes, it doesn't matter because the waiver, the Medicaid for children, no importa, it doesn't matter. So they need to analyze their income. It depends. It could be that the income is so high for SSI, but not enough for Medicaid. It could be. It could be a possibility.
Ok, vamos a hacer una pregunta más.
Okay, we'll take one more
Y
question,
vamos a seguir con la siguiente presentación.
and then we'll continue with the next presentation.
Está está separada y el esposo vive en otro estado, pero tiene ingresos
He's
altos.
separated, and the husband lives in another state and has high income, but this person is not working.
Todo el dinero para los gastos del niño y de la mamá.
So all the income is for the expenses of the child.
Otros planes de discapacidad.
Can that person apply for Medicaid or disability benefits? Yes, can apply for Medicaid. The Medicaid for children uses certain rules based on income that person earns and where the child resides. Regarding his incomes, that won't count. Even though the father is covering rent expenses, the SSI is a little more complicated. You would have to look more in detail. So you can contact one of the legal aid offices in order to get more information regarding SSI. But for Medicaid, if you don't have any income, even though the father earns a lot of money, you can apply. That's not a problem.
Muchísimas gracias, Joana.
Thank you very much, Joanna. There are other questions, but we'll do those later via the chat. And I will answer those in the chat. So I'll answer all the questions on the chat.
Muchísimas gracias, Joana.
All right, thank you very much.
Ahora, QC Silva nos hablará
Ahora,
ella es de
we're gonna
Cardinal Innovation
listen to
sobre el cuidado de
QC
la salud.
Silver regarding the healthcare. Hello to everyone. How's everyone doing? Yeah, I'm glad that you're with us here. Millie and Giovanna covered a lot of information. What I'm going to do is going to share with you. I'm going to take you to the webpage, the Cardinal, so that you see the resources. We're going to speak more about the waiver innovation that Joanna mentioned. And we're also going to talk about the services for B3 and how you'll be able to access those resources through the webpage in Cardinal. And I have some pages that I shared to everyone so that people that want that information can access that information. And I'll be sharing, I'm going to share my screen. And basically, you will see
Y espero que puedan ver ahí.
I hope that you can see this. If you can confirm the panelist, if you can see my page. Yes, thank you. So this is the web page for Cardinal Innovations. And here you go to your browser and you click on cardinalinnovations.org. And let me come back here. And this is what you'll see on the page when you access the page. This is a page in English. If you go on this side over here, you can select. Let me see if right here it says Spanish, and you can select Spanish in order to view the information in Spanish. Basically the same thing. This page is still under construction. So there's a lot of information that hasn't been translated. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience. And I also wanted to share that I am going to share with you these pages here that have to do the information that we've been considering today. So you'll see this page that has to do with the registration of innovation. So you'll see all other questions that you may have regarding this registry, the innovation, and all the answers to all those questions, how you can request Medicaid and all that. And we'll talk about that a little right now. But I'm going to give you access to that page, but you'll have access to another page that talks about the B3 services that we'll talk about tonight. And you'll also have the webpage as far as what to expect, like when you're waiting and you requested these innovation services, what will happen after that. So these pages will be available for you so that you can have it as a reference. So right here, when you go to the webpage, Cardinal Innovations, you'll enter members. And we say members because usually Cardinal, since it's an insurance that covers, that is covering or managing Medicaid. So the people that usually deal with us are members of our insurance that's given through social services or through Medicaid. So here you'll press under members and you'll go to IDD and you'll see NC Innovations Waiver, and you also see Registry of Unmet Needs. And so then I'll go first to this waiver. And so it explains it in Spanish, this section, the exception regarding NC Innovations. Yes, so this is a waiver, and it explains everything, and it tells you who is eligible. Johanna already analyzed that. So if you have a diagnosis, IDD, that has some sort of intellectual or developmental disability, it's under the guidelines that they're looking for and that Joanna also shared with you. So you'll be able to be eligible in order to apply or meet the criteria for this innovation waiver. And then I wanted to show you this right here, so you can take your own time. I didn't want to take too much time, but at least I wanted to show you where you can enter the webpage and find these resources. So what do I do to apply? And so all the information is here. There's a form here that you can access here, and you can fill out this form, and you can call at the number that's available here, and someone can also help you in order to you can request this exception to NC Innovations. The people that were filling out these applications usually work from 8:30 until 5 p.m. You can call that anytime. You leave them a message and they will return your call as soon as possible, or if you need any other type of. So then we talked about that in this innovations waiver, there's like a waiting list. So it's very important, as Millie and Johanna explained before, whenever you're applying for something, you have to be that person who's consistent on behalf on behalf of your loved one that you're requesting this for your son or daughter. You have to be consistent and you have to continue to search for what you need through these options. There are different criteria, but you'll be able to fill out the application and you'll be placed on a waiting list because the innovations waiver, it goes by groups. So the state only grants certain limited availability per county, and depending on people who reside in the county. And one person has this innovations waiver, they are covered for life. This innovations waiver is not eligible. So up until that person dies, but there's a limited amount. And so if one person dies and another person is eligible for the waiver, the other form is if the state decides or the other way that there's going to be more available waivers per county because more are needed. Sometimes that happens and they're able to modify, and all of a sudden they'll add more availability for this innovations waiver. So the person when you enroll on that date, that's when you get enrolled and you'll be on a waiting list. And then you will also be able to access other resources. And those other resources, let me see here. Here you have more information here at the bottom regarding all the resources, an extension for the waiver, manuals for the members and the families. So this entire page and then the webpage for Cardinal, you'll have plenty of information that you can access to answer any questions. And the 1-800 number is available 24/7 if so someone can help you with these applications. And other resources you can press on here has to do with the B3 services. These are additional supports for basically while you're in that on that waiting list. Obviously, you will need assistance, and you can request these services B3. And this is like a additional support for benefits that the person can receive. Yes. Where she works, where Joanna works, they assist with all these things, with these services that are available. So that person can, depending on their diagnosis, they can receive that assistance through these services, these B3 services. So how do you get started? This will tell you how you get started. The first thing you need to do is contact this Center for Access, Extension of Access. It's the 1-800 number. They'll take your information and they will help you with the process to initiate whatever is available as far as these B3 services. It's important that you don't need to have Medicaid, you have B3 services. You need to have it, I'm sorry. And you also need to have these needs, IDD, MH, and SUD. As Joanna mentioned, there's a certain criteria it needs to be met, or requirements to see if you're eligible for Medicaid or any of these different services and coverages. So you can see here, if you meet those requirements, specific requirements, you'll be able to access these B3 services. And right here, if you click here, there's a description of the general services available. There's a brochure as well, and also other services that are available. And you'll see here, basically, the information that I went over right now. And
segunda página
right here on the
vas
second
a ver
page,
cuáles son
you'll
los,
see what these,
déjame ver si lo puedo
let me see if I
agrandar
can
un poquito
enlarge
para que
it
veas.
so you can see it.
Entonces, muy importante,
So it's very important.
vas a ver acá
You'll see
la
here
población que
the
están sirviendo,
population
cuál
that's
es la
being
edad que
served,
puedes iniciar
what
estos
is the
servicios
age
que
to start these
están bajo
services,
el criterio para B3
that
y ahí vas a poder
requirements are
ver cuáles
very low
son
for
los
B3.
beneficios de estos
And
servicios
you'll see the definition of these benefits
y cómo te
and
pueden ayudar
how they
dependiendo
can
la
assist
edad
you,
de la persona que
depending of
estés
the
solicitando.
age of the person who is
Usualmente para los
applying for
niños
this.
pequeños, tú
Usually
tienes
they're
cosas
small
como
children
respite, que
or
ayuda a
the
dar a la persona
respite
primaria que está
that will assist the
cuidando a la
primary
persona que
person, the
tiene la
caregiver
discapacidad, a
of the
tener
person who
un momento
in order to
respiro,
have
¿no? Yo le digo un
so
momento de respirar, pero
a moment to
entonces
breathe,
aquí
basically.
viene y le ayuda
So someone will
tener un
come and
break, a tener
give you a break
descanso,
to
y
get
esta
a little
persona
rest,
viene y
and
supervisa
that
a
person will
la
come and
persona con la
supervise
discapacidad
this
para
individual with the
que
disability,
y le da ese servicio
and
en
will
la casa para que
that service is provided at home
la persona que está
so that the
cuidando
caregiver
de la persona que tiene discapacidad
of
tenga
the
ese
person with
momento
the
de
disability can
descanso.
have
Entonces
a
aquí tienes
break.
otra vez, como te digo,
So
todas
as
las
I
diferentes
stated,
clases de servicios
it
están
defines all the
disponibles,
types
la
of
edad
services
de la
that are
población,
available,
cuándo
the
está
age of the
disponible y la
population,
definición
when they will be
de estos
available,
servicios.
and the definition of said services.
Okay. Déjame regresar acá a la página.
And let
Y
me
como
come
te
back to
dije
return
antes,
to this page. As
básicamente
I
aquí
stated
tienes todos
before,
los recursos y toda la
these
información que necesitas
are the resources and
para
all the
que puedas
information needed
acceder
so that you can access
esa información.
that information.
Aquí te va a hablar de quién es elegible
And
para
here
los
you can see
necesidades,
who is eligible
y
for
hablamos un
these,
poco de eso y otra vez no quiero tomar todo
this
el tiempo
registry
porque
of needs. I don't want to take up all the
Millie y
time
también Johanna hablaron mucho
because
de las diferentes
Johanna
clases
and Millie talked about these classes,
diagnósticos o diferentes criterios que se
the
necesitan
different
para
criteria
seleccionar.
needed
Así
to
que si
apply
tienes alguna
for
pregunta,
requirements. So if you have any
es
questions,
muy importante
it's
que
very
el
important
primer
that
paso es que te
the first step is that you connect with
Departamento de Servicios Sociales, porque
the
si no tienes
Department of Social
Medicaid,
Services,
no
because
puedes
if you don't have
acceder,
Medicaid, you cannot
o
access
ser elegible
or you can't
para
be
los
eligible
servicios de B3
these
y
degree
muy
services.
importante
And it's
para
very important
registrarte en el
in order
Innovations
to
Waiver,
register an
no tienes que
innovations
tener
waiver. You don't need to have
Medicaid. Puedes
Medicaid.
tener seguro
You can have
privado,
private
cualquier
health
persona se
insurance.
puede
So
inscribir
any person can enroll
al Innovations Waiver.
for the innovations
So,
waiver.
otra vez, si necesitas cualquier
Again,
ayuda,
if you need any
página
help,
tiene toda la
this
información que
webpage has all that
necesitas.
information that you need.
Y voy a terminar ahí porque el tiempo
And I'm
es
gonna
corto, pero si
finish
tienes
here
alguna
because we're limited in time.
inquietud,
But if you have a
es un buen
question or
momento de
concern,
contactarme.
this is the time to ask me.
Muchas gracias, Kilcia. Y
Muchas
sí, hay algunas
gracias,
preguntas
Tilsi,
acá.
Isla.
Dicen que si en esa
There
página
are
pueden ver cómo va el
questions,
proceso de Innovation Waiver.
and that are there other people that can see how that process is moving, the questions waiver? You won't be able to see it here if you're on the list, what number you are. They won't be able to tell you that, but it's always good to call to verify the status of the waiver and just see how the process is progressing. It's also very important that you contact Cardinal in order, if like in case you move or if you need any information, you always have to make sure that Cardinal has the most current information pertaining to you. If they need to contact you, they're able to contact you. But in the webpage, you won't be able to see you're on the list or where are you on the list, where you are on the list. You won't be able to see that on this webpage. And the other question is, can you correct the date of birth of a child,
correctamente.
if the date of birth on the Medicaid
No se la arreglan.
is incorrect.
Y
He's
trataron
trying
de
to fix
arreglar
it.
a través de Medicaid, con el Departamento
If
de
you're
Seguro
trying to
Social.
fix that through Medicaid or through social services,
So, usualmente tienes que ir al
so
Departamento
usually you
de
need to
Servicios
go,
Sociales y tienes
so
que
you need to
corregir
go
algo
to
que
Social
tiene que ver con
Security,
Medicaid.
correct anything having
O
to
si
do
de
with
repente,
Medicaid.
si llamas a Cardinal, de repente
Well,
te pueden
social
conectar,
services is
te
the
pueden
agency.
ayudar a tratar de
Medicaid
resolver
can
ese problema. Así que
also
si
help you to
necesitas
try to
que sea
resolve
Cardinal,
that
por lo que
problem.
sea, ellos pueden
If you
tratar de
need to contact
conectarte
them, you should call them.
con
Maybe
ellos.
they can
Pero
refer
sí
you
tienes
to the right
que
person, but basically
aclarar eso con el
you need to
Departamento de
clear
Servicios
that up
Sociales.
with the Department of Social Services, DSS.
Otra pregunta es para
The
aplicar
other
el servicio
question is,
C3, ¿tiene
in order to apply
un número de
for these
identificación para los niños
3B
que ya están en la
services,
lista o cómo se
is it
puede
for children
conseguir?
who are already on the list, or how can you gain those services? So again, you have to have Medicaid, and that's going to be through social services, and then you can contact Cardinal. They can continue to assist you with the process of completing the application and initiate those services if you're under the requirements necessary in order to receive those benefits or services.
Otra consulta es,
The other question is,
hace un mes mandaron
a month
información
ago,
para la
they
evaluación
sent
y
information for an
quedaron de
evaluation,
mandar
and they were
otros
supposed to
documentos.
send more
¿Cuánto tiempo se
documents.
tardan en mandar esos
How
otros
long does it take to send those documents? Because it's been 2 weeks and still nothing yet. Well, a lot of the people like Millie and Joanna stated, it's always good to be consistent in calling to see if you have to appeal or if you need to initiate any process. You need to verify the status of your application. Basically, usually they'll give you a limited amount of time, a deadline, depending on what you're requesting. So if you don't know the deadline for the time period in order for them to process the information, it's okay if you call and ask to find out what is going on. For example, when you can receive an answer.
Otra pregunta es,
The other question is regarding the unsatisfied needs. Is there other providers or is there other partners or associates? Well, yes, all those MCOs allocated, those are the amounts that they manage, the different counties, and for Medicaid for the different counties, each one is assigned. If partners is in a different county, they will have those people who have on the list for those counties. But if it's Cardinal, between the counties that are assigned to Cardinal, they will have the list for their members on that list in their particular counties.
Bueno, muchas gracias.
Well, thank you very much, Isla. Our time has run out, and we appreciate all the panelists for all the information, valuable information that they provided today, and also for the entire community and all the participants. The publication of this webinar will be on the webpage of Art Taveras, www.theart is there.org. And thank you everyone for your attention and for attending this webinar. Thank you for the invitation. Have a good night. And thanks to everyone. Okay. Goodbye to everyone. Hope you're well. Take care. Thank you. Good night to all.